Hey, we're back. We're back. It's 4:41 p.m. and it's Thursday, December 12th, 2024. How time flies. 4:41 p.m. We are focused. We are waiting. We are waiting. Okay, we are focused. We are waiting. It's a waiting game. 4:42 p.m. 4:42 p.m. Thursday, December 12th, 2024. How time flies. Well, I'm going to get back to watching TV. Relax. I'm just watch. This high-tech surveillance monitor is very aware of my location and activities. Once I start watching TV, you're going to see a lot of movement. Do not blink, you're going to miss it. We shall see. We are focused. There we go. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to see what's going on in the hood. All right, I got to get back to my watching TV. Time for me to take a break. Bada bing and bada boom. You better ask somebody. So I got to say. Okay. Time to take a break. That's it for me. Nobody home, nobody shows up. I don't know what to do.
stick, where we've seen about an inch or two in a thin band just to our south over the course of the afternoon. That will move off to the east, and the colder temperatures which are with us now will stick with us. Skies will partially clear later tonight, and that'll allow these temperatures, which are in the mid to low teens at the moment, these are the current readings, to drop off into the single digits overnight tonight for most locations. There's a check in the wind chills. Again, feels like it's down around 0. And overnight tonight on our future cache, you can see how the skies clear out and those temperatures bottom out around 8 to 10 above here in the city. Colder to the north and west, right around 10 or 11 above in the southern suburbs. And then tomorrow, temperatures get a little better. It's still going to be cold. We'll see highs in the upper 20s to right around 30 degrees. Hazy sunshine as some thin clouds will be with us tomorrow. Clouds thicken up as we head into Saturday morning. There's 8 o'clock Saturday morning. We'll stay dry Saturday morning, but by the afternoon, here comes a large shield of rain. Now, the timing on this rain is actually a good thing because it will have some opportunity to warm things up above freezing before the rain settles in. So by, say 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, rain will be overspreading the area. And once it starts, it's going to rain almost all evening on Saturday into Saturday night. It'll be a cold rain with temperatures in the mid to upper 30s through the evening hours on Saturday. And then we'll warm overnight Saturday night to Sunday morning with rain still coming down. Sunday morning temperatures in the 40s. Rain moves out by the afternoon on Sunday, and we'll have a mild afternoon with temperatures in the 40s for us Sunday afternoon. So for the next couple of days, we have a warming trend on tap. 28 on Friday, 40 on Saturday, 46 on Sunday. But of course, we get the rain Saturday afternoon, and that rain lingers into Sunday morning. Here's tracking it out again on a larger scale. That rain moves through early Sunday morning, moves out early Sunday morning. And then Monday, another chance of rain. There's 9 o'clock on Monday. And we'll have another chance of some rain as we head towards the middle and end of next week. Today, our high temperature, just 14, average high, 37. Tonight, we'll drop off into the single digits for most areas, partly cloudy, wind chills down to
Zook's tasty, tender dog treats can turn every outing into an adventure. From park to peak.
So you saw a cute turtle at the pet store, or at a reptile expo, or online, and you were thinking, hey, I want a pet turtle. Well, this video is to try to convince you that you shouldn't. Basically, I just want to tell you all the reasons you should reconsider this purchase and if you really need a pet turtle in your life. These are just some of the things to be aware of and you should know before jumping into turtle ownership. So the first thing you need to be aware is that that cute little turtle that you saw at the reptile expo or the pet store or wherever you saw it, that little turtle can live excess of 15 years, 20 years, heck, maybe even 50 years. Maybe even more than that. These are incredibly long-lived animals, so this is a long-term commitment. This is something that if you get it for your kid when they're 5, they will have it past the time they are graduating college. That is how long these animals can live. So consider that for a moment before you just go out and get everything for a turtle, because this turtle is going to stick with you for a very long time. Now, if that isn't deterrent enough, remember that these animals will also have needs, and with those needs are associated cost and time. No matter what kind of pet you get, you are going to have to invest some amount of time and money to make sure they are properly cared for. With turtles, this means, obviously, putting in the time to do water changes, clean their tank, making sure they're fed as often as they need to be fed. Now granted, it's not going to be as much as your average cat or dog, but this isn't just an animal you buy and stick on a shelf and forget about. Water changes and consistent maintenance is one of the biggest parts of turtle ownership, so if you're not comfortable with a fish tank filled with 40 gallons, 75 gallons plus of water and having to replace 20 to 40% of that every other week, then maybe turtles aren't for you. Basically, that whole situation involves something like this, which is a water change siphon and a 5-gallon bucket. If you're fancy, you can get a python, which hooks up to your sink. I will link that in the description below. But you're gonna have to do water changes. It's part of owning a turtle, so if you're not ready for that, do some more thinking. Alongside the maintenance, they do have other specialized equipment that they need. Turtles need filters in order to keep their aquarium clean. Most of them will need either a power filter or even better, a canister filter. And these can run anywhere from $100 to $300. So keep that in mind. They will also need a basking area with heat and UVB. This is an area where they can get up out of the water, get dry, and the specialized lighting is so that their shells can stay healthy and grow properly. It's not optional. And yes, while they do have really cute faces, unfortunately, they're really just not the type of animal that you spend a lot of time holding outside of the tank. Because they're mainly aquatic, you mostly just leave them in their tank, you interact with them through the glass, but you're not necessarily gonna take them out and cuddle with them like you do with your dog. They're just not that kind of pet, so you spend a lot of time watching them, but don't spend a huge amount of time hands-on interacting with them. And what are you going to do if this animal gets sick or needs medical attention? These animals can run you a pretty penny if you have to take them into the vet, but as a responsible pet owner, that's something you have to consider and be prepared for. Feeding time can also be a lot of fun, but you also want to make sure you're providing them with a varied diet. Typically, I choose at least 2 different kinds of turtle pellets to feed them, and depending on the age of your turtle, you could be feeding them every day, every other day, or every 3rd day. But again, you can't just forget about them. These cuties have needs. And now, having seen my turtle, you might also want to ask me, what kind of turtle is that? That's really beautiful. This is a diamondback terrapin, and they are actually protected in some states and illegal to keep in some states. So it's also important to check and know your state and local laws when it comes to owning the type of turtle that you're looking at getting. Also, by the way, if you want to see more of this turtle, you should definitely subscribe. So do that right now. And then the other thing to think about is that if you're looking for a beautiful display animal with a beautiful display tank, turtles can sometimes go against that goal, and your tank might not always look like this Iwagumi aquascape that looks nice all the time, that's picture perfect. Most turtle tanks will not look like that, unless you put in a lot of effort, of course. But they can be a little bit destructive and a little bit limiting when it comes to decorating the tank and making it look all pretty. I mean, you can look at my tank, it's kind of just rocks and wood and other things in there, and it has algae growing on it. But the turtle is happy, and that's what's important. So those are some really important things to think about before diving straight in and getting your first turtle. This is by no means a comprehensive care guide or anything of the sort, just a handful of things you should consider before making a purchase for a new pet. If you are looking for more information and care tips, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I've kept turtles for over 5 years now, and I would love to share all the things I've learned with you. There's also a lot of other resources on the internet, on YouTube. So most importantly, just remember, keep doing your research, keep learning, and make sure you fully know what you're getting into before you dive into the deep end of the pool. And I promise you, if you get your first turtle, they're kind of like potato chips. You just can't have one. I have 7 now. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up down below. If you got a turtle, go ahead and come back to the comments later, share what you ended up getting, and feel free to share any care tips in the comments down below as well. We're all here to help each other out. Thank you. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you the process of setting up a turtle tank just like this. Actually, this exact tank, I'm going to be showing you how I set it up, from buying the tank and the supplies to actually the process of setting it up and putting everything together. I hope this video is helpful for those of you who have just recently got a turtle or are planning to get a turtle, so you can kind of see what it's like to get a tank like this set up. I'm also planning to track our expenses along the way, so we're starting at 0, and all the money we spend, it'll be totaled up right here. More or less, anyway. kind of an average because like tax and stuff and all that's going to vary, but you can kind of just get an idea for how much everything is going to cost as well. Alright, so now we got this about as clean as it's going to get, so now we have to get the rest of the stuff to set up the tank. We're here at the chain pet store, shopping, and I'm going to show you guys how to save money when you come to a place like this. Because oftentimes you can price check on the website, and I'll show you how much we're going to save. So for reference, this is the tank that I got. It costs $87 if you buy it here. Even the 20-gallon long is $50. So yeah, we have clamp lamps, and I'm going to need 2 of these, one for heat and one for UVB. Note that this is a maximum of 75 watts. Over here we have all the substrate. We can see that the sand is $25 for a 20-pound bag of either white sand or black sand. So we're not going to get this here. We're going to find an alternative. So this is going to be like my expensive purchase. I'm spending more on the filter than the tank, but that's just to show you how important this is. So we're going to get the 30. Okay, so it was really loud in the store, and my explanation of this in the store wasn't that great, but basically, if you go to a lot of these chain pet stores, they will price match their price on their website. So a lot of these items, it might have been listed for $25 or $15. Like, I think the basking area was $24, but on their website, it was $5. So I was able to price match that on the website and save some money that way. So make sure you're price matching in these pet stores. You can save a whole lot of money. You just gotta pull it up, or you can actually use the app to scan ahead of time. Obviously, this is clearly not sponsored, but I'm just here to give you guys some money-saving tips. So anyway, back to the video. So on my receipt here, you can see my total savings is $84.50, and my total was $104.14. That is with tax, and I was able to save almost 50%, which is crazy. All right, we have one more stop because we still need substrate and a 5-gallon bucket, so we're headed to the hardware store. So what we're using is $5 50-pound clay sand. The only thing with this is it's a pain to wash because it's really dusty. But once you get it washed, totally worth it. So we're gonna pick up some of these. Alright, so step number 1 here is setting up the stand. I was able to score a metal stand, just like one of the standard garage stands, kind of like the ones I have at home, for $25 on Facebook Marketplace, which I was pretty surprised because typically those don't pop up, but I snagged it because normally a set for like 5 different shelves, or like half of the set, would be $80 to $100 brand new. So I have a stand for $25, which is quite the deal. Also, I don't think this is straight. Sorry about that. Okay, alright. Stand time. So, now comes the fun part of putting it all together and setting it all up. So, I'm going to walk you through how to set up a tank for a hatchling or smaller turtle. Honestly, this could apply to any turtle, but since it's a 20-gallon, obviously this is for a small turtle. And actually, so you guys get a chance to see the turtle that we're setting up this tank for, I would like to introduce you to the musk turtle. He's been chilling for the past few days. I'm sorry, buddy. Hold on, let go. So, I don't remember, I looked back at the video and I couldn't tell if this is Elon the musk turtle or Murdoch the musk turtle. So you guys can feel free to like vote, but in any case, this is the turtle we're going to be setting up for. He has been very patient the past couple days as we have been traveling here, so I want to hurry up and get this tank set up. Also because I have to get to bed. It's like currently 9 o'clock, so we'll see how long this takes. Hopefully it shouldn't take more than an hour. So first up is actually adding sand. I have about 20 pounds of play sand. You saw when I went and bought that for about $5. Had to rinse it a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if the tank would be cloudy for a while still, but we are going to go ahead and add that to the tank. like building a sandcastle. Alright, so to fill up the water, we are going to use this gravel vac and then the 5-gallon bucket. Also, quick little note here while we're filling up the tank. I'm using it this way because I don't have really easy access, so I'm using like a gravity-fed siphon, so the bucket of water is just out of frame. It's a little bit higher than the tank, so the water is flowing downward, and we're using gravity to use the siphon. But notice how I'm putting it against the glass. That's to kind of disperse the force of the flow of the water, so that the substrate, the sand, is not getting kicked around too much. Even if you're filling with a bucket, put like a plate or a rock or something on the bottom so that it's not like splashing directly into the sand, because it's going to make it a lot cloudier than it needs to be. And so by putting in the water like this, kind of like a waterfall, it reduces the amount of murkiness that you'll have initially when you set up the tank. Okay, so next up, the tank is all filled with water. I'm going to put in the heater and the basking area. The water I put in was already like semi-lukewarm, about the temperature I want it for the turtle, but I want to have the heater in there so that it maintains that temperature. And then of course, the basking area, the decorations, all those things. It's gonna go in next, so let's do that. Note that this is a glass heater. If my turtle were larger, I would avoid using a glass heater, because if they knock them over, they could shatter it, which would not be a good thing. But because my turtle is so small, I'm not really worried about him jostling this around too much. So I'm just using a glass heater in this tank. But if you are setting this up for a more destructive turtle, consider getting a heater that's actually plastic on the outside, or buy a heater guard, which you can pick up for a couple of bucks. Just search heater guard on Amazon, and that will pull up something that will make sure that even if this does get knocked over, it's not going to shatter and break your tank and electrocute and kill everything. I'm kind of also thinking about where the filter is going to be as well, so that the water can circulate. I think I'm going to have the filter on this side, so I'm also going to put it the heater. Okay. And then floating basking dock, which we're going to be using. This is a small size, since clearly he's a small turtle, and this was only $5, which I think is a steal for a basking area, especially since I don't have to make it. For decoration, I have this large piece of mopani. It's got a pretty interesting shape to it. It will probably leak tannins or leach tannins, but I'm not too worried about that. So in order to keep it submerged, I put this rock on top of it. Because it's still surprisingly buoyant. It will sink and get waterlogged over the next couple of days. But just in the meantime, I have the rock on there to keep it underwater. And then now I'm going to go ahead and set up the filter. We are using an AquaClear 30 because this tank is not filled completely and musks are not as great swimmers. So I decided to go with the 30 so that I wouldn't have too much flow. My favorite thing by far about this filter is the filter insert system, which is not a pad. It very much encourages just rinsing the media out, which is why I love the AquaClear filter so much. So we're going to get this all set up in here and ready to go. On the inside here, we have all of the intake tubing, so we got to assemble this. Basically, this U part goes in like this with the pointer part on the inside. And then these attach here on the bottom. This is going to go in here, like that. And then this little black piece goes in the bottom right here so that it can even out and make sure it's hanging flush against the wall. And the filter media order is going to go sponge, activated carbon, which I rinsed out with cold water, and then this little bag of ceramic media, and then all of that just slides straight into. So you can see from the back, there's kind of this 3-stage of layers. The great thing about this system is that you could possibly fit like different things in the media basket, but we are just going to use what we got in the kit for today. And then in order to prime the filter, you have to put water in it. I'm going to scoop some of this tank water, put it inside the filter, because you don't want your filter to be running dry, so we have to put water in it to start, and then we plug it in. And now the water's flowing there. Alright, so now you can see the water is now flowing. The cool thing about this filter is that it actually has an adjustable flow rate, so I can turn it way down like that. I don't know if you can tell the difference in the sound, and also way up like this. I think I'm going to have it on full blast for right now, and I'm going to put the cover on. Alright, so now for lighting, what I have here is this screen lid, and normally what I would choose is a lid that's actually the size of the tank, or just not have a lid and mount the lights just somewhere up here, but this is going to be the easiest solution for now. The reason I can't get a lid that's the size of this is because it's going to get messed up with the filter. So what I'm going to do is just take this 10-gallon size lid and just kind of rest it like that on the corner so that the lights have something to sit on, but won't actually be, hanging, because I don't really have anything to hang it, but we'll troubleshoot as we go along. So what we have here are these lamps, and then some halogen bulbs. This is for heat, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. Remember, it's important for your turtles to have access to heat and UVB. For musk turtles, this is not especially important since they're not a huge basking species, but I still like to provide it if they want to have the opportunity to get out and bask. I have actually caught my females doing it a couple times, and then especially for any other kind of turtle that you'll most likely own, like a slider or anything of that nature, they are definitely going to want to have a basking spot. And then also, of course, we have a UVB bulb. I would like to venture to trying the tubular versions that are not like these compact 13 watts, but this is what we're going to be using for now. Now, the problem is that this one, you see that it's not totally flush. My solution for that is to actually use the clamp attachment, and then what I'm going to do is kind of just put it like this, and then in this corner here where this clamp lamp is, I'm going to kind of attach it with cable ties so that it's not actually, it's resting on the lip of the lamp and not actually on the bulb, because I definitely don't want to be breaking this. And then if you'll look over here where I'm at, the last step is to do a timer for the lights, because I don't want to have to worry about turning the lights on and off every single day. And I want this on during the day. So for on, the pins are down, and then for off, the pins are up. So I'm going to pull these up. 8 o'clock. We'll just have an easy 8 to 8 schedule there. And then in theory, all of these lights work. Alright, so now we are ready to add the musk turtle. Like I said in the beginning, I don't know if this is Elon or Murdoch. Again, please vote in the comments which you would prefer this to be. I'm sure he is quite ready. Hold on. I'm sure he is quite ready to get into the tank. You can see his little angry face there. So we are going to set him free in here. Let's put him on the basking area. And then find him. Here he goes. You can see, I don't know if you can tell, the water's still a little bit cloudy and a little bit brown from the tannins, but that's okay, because the tannins are honestly natural, so he'll be just fine. Are you hungry? Let's see if you'll eat something. Oh, look at him. He likes his piece of wood. I'm going to get some more decorations for him eventually. I really just wanted to get this set up quickly. So I'll add some more decorations. Maybe I'll do a video on that, a little update. But you can expect to see him over the next several weeks here. This will be his little tank. Maybe I'll get some live plants now that he's all settled in. But let's see if he'll eat anything first. Bud, there's gonna be food over there. There you go, buddy. Come on. Right there. Oh, good job. There's Neo in the new tank. You can see that this side is his bad eye. Doesn't stop him from shouting though. So there you have it, a turtle tank set up for just about $200, probably a little bit less. Adjust this as necessary depending on your species, depending on the size of your turtle, but I hope it helped to kind of walk you through the process of setting up a turtle tank for the first time. I would personally recommend more decorations, which I will be adding in the future. Also, I think this tank might look cool with some fish, but I'm gonna let the turtle get settled in over these next few days first. If you're interested in more turtle care videos, hit the subscribe button down below. Like the video.
Picture a perfect holiday with 50% off everything Christmas at Hobby Lobby.
Hello, baby. How are you doing? Ah, tug of war. All right. I don't even know why I have a calendar here if I don't use it. It is a new month. It is officially August, which means I need to update my calendar. Turtle Girl, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Today we are reacting to your turtle setups yet again, so really excited to hop straight into these. But of course, before we get started, just a quick reminder that this is all my personal opinions, all my own thoughts, and you as the viewer and the turtle keeper, if you sent in these tanks, anything I say, it's up to your discretion. If you want to implement anything I say, just take it all with a grain of salt. Do your own research, make your own decisions. This is just my reaction and my thoughts. So with that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell down below so you can see all of my future videos. I make turtle videos, pet videos, and fun stuff like this every single Friday, and you don't want to miss out. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon page. You can join there for as little as the price of a coffee per month. It really helps support the channel and help me create the content that I'm making. Plus, there's all kinds of cool perks, such as early videos, and as time goes out, I'll be rolling out some more perks for my patrons. Okay, so with all that being said, let's hop straight in and take a look at some of these tanks. All right, so first up here, we have a 40-gallon tank from Camille in Atlanta, Georgia. This is a 40-gallon breeder with 2 turtles, an African side neck and a red-eared slider. So looking at the enclosure itself, you do have all the basics covered. I would say that your turtles are pretty large, so I think having more space would definitely be beneficial for them, especially given that there are 2 turtles in here and it is only a 40-gallon tank. If it is possible to get a larger tank, I would definitely suggest that. I don't know too much about side necks, but I do know that red-eared sliders are pretty good swimmers, so if increasing that water volume is an option, that's definitely another great way to maximize the space. You already mentioned that the basking area, you know it's a bit small and are planning on upgrading, so I'm really happy to hear that. Looks like you've got your basics covered for lighting as far as heat and UVB. I like that you have the decorations, and the rock there on the bottom does look big enough so they can't eat it, so good job there. Overall, I would just say give them more space, give them more water volume to swim in, and they will love you for it. So thanks for sending this in, Camille. Next up is Tyler from California with their Southern Painted Turtle Taco, love the name, in a 40-gallon. And there's a heater, basking area with UVB, an internal filter, a canister filter, and a bubbler. And it also looks like you have some gouramis in here. So first of all, congratulations on keeping fish with turtles. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I have yet to really find a species that has been able to survive long term other than the convict cichlids. So that's amazing that you're able to keep different fish in there. The basking area looks awesome. You've got a good amount of decorations. I love the little Area 51 sign in there. That is fantastic. River Rock looks great. The water quality seems to be doing great as well. I love that you are using 2 filters. One thing I would watch out for is that with those plastic plants, I know personally, like sometimes if we buy cheaper kinds, little pieces can fall off of that plastic, which the turtle could eat. So if these are good quality plants and that hasn't happened, then no worries. But I would just make sure that your turtle wouldn't be able to eat any pieces of those plastic plants. But overall, I think this setup looks great, and Taco is super cute. Love the gouramis. Great job, Tyler. Also gotta say, I love the drawings behind there. I don't know who did those drawings behind the tank, but those are adorable. I love that. All right, next up is a hatchling turtle tank from Bella in Virginia. This is a 30-gallon with a southern painted as well as some fish. And immediately looking at it, I can see that your turtle is pretty small up there in the basking area with all those basking lights and all that stuff. So that is great. Your turtle definitely seems to be having a lot of space. I love the look of the tank. I love the light colors. A couple things I would keep an eye out for. As I've mentioned in previous videos like this, you could have more decorations kind of filling up that center space of the tank. Especially with baby turtles, you want to give them something to hold onto so that they can easily get to the surface and kind of rest in that middle area of the tank. Love the tiger barbs you have in there. Looks like you might also have Daniels or some other type of fish, but I definitely know that the other ones are tiger barbs. Also, the same thing I said about the last tank, keep an eye out on those plastic plants in case that they are more flimsy. But overall, your turtle is super duper cute. I am a huge sucker for baby turtles. They're just so adorable when they're this big. So thanks so much for sending in your tank, Bella. All right, here we have a 20-gallon tall tank from a longtime viewer in Minnesota. Hello, Michaela. Thank you for sending in your tank. So this is home to a juvenile mud turtle, which I think we can see in the tank here in the back right corner. You can see she has her filter, her basking area, as well as the lighting above the tank. Appears that the turtle's name is Tiny. Love the nameplate. That's super cute. I also am a big fan of the black substrate. I think it contrasts really well in a tank. You did mention that though it is gravel, the turtle is unable to eat it. So my thing is just basically you don't want to have that risk of impaction. So if the turtle's mouth is still too small that it can't eat the gravel, then that's fine. But as the turtle gets bigger, that's going to be something you want to keep an eye out for. You do have a nice little log decoration in there. That's really great. Again, make sure the turtle can't get stuck there. And you could also have some more decorations there in the middle. I would imagine that eventually you would have to upgrade this setup. From what it looks like, there's only about 10 gallons of water in there right now. Love the pop of color that you get with the different decorations that you have in the tank. So thanks so much for sending in your tank, Michaela. I hope you and Tiny are doing well. Next up is the tank from Sunny in Iowa. So this is a 40-gallon breeder with a red-eared slider. They've got a DIY turtle topper as well as 2 filters, a heater, their heat lamp and basking lights, and some fishy friends inside the tank. So first thing that really intrigued me about your setup was your above tank basking area. I think it's really creatively done, but it looks like you're using that so that you can rest the plastic part above the tank, and then you've got some kind of wiring around so that it's escape proof for your turtle. So that's definitely being creative and using solutions. I would be a little bit wary about balancing tanks on top of each other like that, but if it's worked fine and you haven't had any issues, that's just something that would personally cause me a little bit of anxiety because it's just, you know, sitting on there. The incline though does look pretty steep, so I would just make sure that when you do have evaporation in the tank, you fill up that tank so that your turtle can easily get up into the basking area. As I mentioned with some of the other tanks, you could use more decorations kind of filling up that space in the middle, though you do have some plastic plants in there as well as that kind of one little rock formation. Also notice that you have opted to go bare bottom here, which is great if you are looking for an easy to clean, low maintenance kind of substrate or lack thereof, if there is no substrate. But that's really cool, so thank you so much for sending in this tank. So here's a 55-gallon African side neck tank from Ashton in California. Immediately looking at this setup, there's a couple things I'd like to point out here. First is the mix of sand and gravel. As I've mentioned before, sand is fine and gravel can be fine as long as the turtle can't eat it, but your turtle seems pretty large, so I'd be a little bit concerned about your turtle eating that. The basking area looks like it'll definitely work as long as the turtle's able to get up there and as long as it is sturdy and the turtle can't knock it over. You could use more decorations in the middle to kind of fill in that space. It looks like the filter is kind of tucked back in that corner. I would caution against that because it might limit the effectiveness and make it hard for it to do its job properly. It really should be in an area where the water can circulate. And then I noticed that you also have goldfish in the tank. If they're just there as tank mates and he's unable to catch and eat them, that's fine. But if he is able to catch and eat them, that can pose a problem because goldfish and members of the minnow family in particular have thiaminase in them, which can actually cause problems for your turtle. So if the turtle is able to catch and eat those, I wouldn't be keeping goldfish with them. I do see though that you have your 2 basking lights above the basking area, which is great. Glad you have your own lighting. Also, I noticed that the sign in the back says, "Dear Ashton, happy birthday." So if it's your birthday, or if it was your birthday, happy belated birthday. Next up is a lovely little Reeves turtle setup from Silvio in Portugal. So they said that there's about 60 liters of water in here, so it's about 15 gallons, but the tank itself is probably like around a 40 gallon. It's just 15 gallons of water that are actually in there. So this is Tito, the Reeves turtle. It's outfitted with an Eheim canister filter, a heater, the heat and UVB bulbs, and some live plants. So you have some Anubias as well as some sweet potatoes. So I think it's really cool that you've got live plants in here. This is an absolutely beautiful little setup. Reeves turtles do tend to stay pretty small, so if the floor space of this is about the size that I'm thinking, so like a 40 gallon, this is probably sufficient size. I love the green, I love the color. The river rock adds some dimension to the bottom, but definitely look big enough that the turtle can't eat it, so great job there. This basking area is super duper intriguing to me. It looks like there's some kind of stand reaching up so that the light can hold it. I'm not sure how that was accomplished, but it looks really, really cool. Love the live plants, love the driftwood kind of reaching up into the basking area. That looks awesome. The only thing I really have to say is just make sure that your turtle won't get stuck in that little cave on the left. I don't actually see the turtle in this picture, so I can't really gauge how big they are, but this is just a beautiful tank, so great job. Thank you so much for sharing. Here we have a 55 gallon from Elias in Washington State. There are 3 female turtles in this tank, a red-eared slider, a western painted, and a peninsula cooter, as well as some cichlids. So you've got the nice sand substrate, you've got your filter in the back, as well as your basking lights, and a DIY egg crate. That egg crate basking area looks super nice. Okay, so apparently my memory card got full, and I just talked about 3 other tanks that didn't get recorded. So we're gonna go back, in case you noticed any change in the setup. That was why. So, where were we? Alright, so to pick up where we left off, we were looking at Elias from Washington's tank. So this tank has 3 female turtles. You've got your filter in there, your basking area, which is awesome. You've done a great job with the egg crate, as well as your basking lights, all that good stuff. So a couple things I wanted to point out. First thing, most of you can probably guess what I'm going to say, is you could just have more decorations. Fill in that center space, give your turtles more things to break up their line of sight, establish territory, be enriched by, etc., etc., etc. But speaking of breaking up sight lines and territory, I did want to bring up that even if these turtles are juveniles right now, females of those species don't really stay small. So with this being a 55 gallon tank and stocked with even other fish, I don't see this being like a long-term, like for the rest of their lives kind of setup. I would definitely encourage you to think about upgrading as these turtles get bigger if they aren't already full grown. Although it is good to see that the tank is filled all the way up so that you are maximizing that space that you have in there. But overall, you do have a great setup to start out with, especially if these turtles are still just juveniles. I did want to mention, you did say that you have a circulation pump in there, which is something I wanted to point out to everyone else watching, particularly if you have a larger tank and are just running one filter. It's really helpful to have one of these circulation pumps. I'll link one in the description below. And these are awesome because in a big tank, you want that water to move around and be circulating. Sometimes if you just have like a filter in one corner of the tank, all that water from that side is getting pushed through the filter, but not so much on the other side. So having one of these is really, really helpful. It helps move the debris off of the bottom of the substrate and can keep your tank looking cleaner, actually. At least that's what I've noticed in my experience. So that is great that you have one of those in there. All right, here we have a nice little rack setup sent in from Amelia from Baltimore, Maryland, and this is a 29 gallon and a 40 gallon, and she has a total of 3 turtles. Just a couple things I want to mention. First, you guys can guess, decorations for sure, because these tanks do look pretty sparse, and I think your turtles would really benefit from that. Also, I do see that you have your basking lights and everything covered. In fact, you actually have 2 basking areas on that 40 gallon. That's great that you're providing that. Looks like you've got filters in both tanks as well, so that's great. And you said you made that basking area in that lower tank using the tutorial that I made, so I'm really glad that could help you out. Other than decorations, there were a couple other things I wanted to mention. First is that in that bottom tank, I noticed you do have that one filter in the corner, but then you have the egg crate kind of dividing it. I think it might be a good idea to use one of those power heads that we actually saw in that previous tank to kind of help circulate that water flow, because although the egg crate has holes, that can definitely prohibit some circulation. Adding a water circulation pump will definitely help out with that in that 40 gallon on the bottom. Other thing I wanted to say, for those of you who are thinking about using a rack system like this, definitely make sure that that rack is rated to hold the weight of your tanks, because water is heavy and fish tanks are heavy. I think most people say account for 10 to 12 pounds per gallon of tank that you end up using. So for instance, this 40-gallon tank, account for at least 400 or 500 pounds of weight sitting on this stand. And that's because water itself is already 8 pounds a gallon. Plus, you add on the actual weight of the tank itself, gravel, decorations, all that stuff. And then also you want to make sure that that tank will be able to be fully supported all the way around by whatever stand you're putting it on. As you can see here on mine, I actually had to cut a piece of plywood so that that weight can be evenly distributed. So that's just something to think about if there are those of you watching thinking about doing a setup like this that kind of has multiple tanks stacked on top of each other. Okie dokie, here we have a really, really cool setup from VV in Finland. Hello Finland, that's really awesome that we've got viewers all the way over there. This is a 400-liter tank, which I believe is about 100 gallons, with a red-eared slider. First thing that really struck me about this was your basking area. You actually included a little short video of this basking area. It looks like you use probably some kind of wood as well as plexiglass kind of screwed together, but it's just done really, really well. That ramp looks fantastic, and it looks like you put it together with a lot of thought, and I'm glad that it's escape-proof so your turtle can't go anywhere. Tank itself, 100 gallons, looks to be about proportionate to the turtle that you have in there, but you already know what I'm going to say. You could use more decorations. You do have the pot in there, which is great, but again, having something in there for them to stimulate their senses and explore is really a big deal, and helps just stimulate your turtle's brain, basically. So that is what I would suggest. Also, love that turtle pillow on your couch. That is super duper cute. So thank you so much for sending this in, and much love to Finland. All right, here is a tank from Sharn in England. Sorry. The name is S-I-A-N, and you told me to pronounce it Sharn, but I feel like if I were to pronounce that with an English accent, it would be like Sean. So I'm just going with that. Apologies if I still botched it, even though you told me how to pronounce it. That is a normal occurrence within these React videos. So you didn't actually say the size of this tank. I would assume it's probably a 55-gallon, maybe even a 75, based on the size of the turtle. You mentioned that you are planning on upgrading his floating basking dock to an above-tank basking area to give him more space to bask, which I think is great. That'll also enable you to fill the tank all the way up so you're maximizing the water volume. You do have all of your lights as well as a filter, which is great. You said that the tank is really plain because the turtle is mean and snaps / breaks / bites everything you put in there. Understandable. I know some turtles can just be destructive, although I would suggest maybe just trying some hardscape, so rocks and wood, stuff that they wouldn't be able to actually eat, but would still add something in the tank for them to push around and move around. So that would be my suggestion. And you also said that you save your turtles shed scoots. You are not the only one. That is not weird. I do that too, so I don't know. Welcome to the cool Turtle Owners Club where we save our turtles shed scoots. So that's really cool, but thank you for sending this in, Sean. All right, so here is a tank from Calvin in Indonesia. This is a 20-gallon with 2 turtles, an eastern painted and a red-eared slider. Both seem to be maybe like juveniles, they're not full size yet. You've got your above tank basking area as well as a heat light and a filter there kind of on the side. So a couple things I wanted to mention, of course, decorations. Like honestly, I feel bad that I have to say it with like every tank, but I think like even if you do have all the basics so that your turtle can survive, really thriving is like making that setup as naturalistic as possible. So would definitely love to see some rocks, wood, fake plants, anything of the sort in the tank. It looks to me like the basking lights are pretty close in distance to the actual area where the turtles are basking. So I would just check the temperatures and make sure that those are okay, because sometimes when that distance is too close, it gets really, really hot. And by moving it further away, it's not as concentrated. You told me in your email that it looked like your turtle had some mineral deposits on its shell. That is totally fine. However, you did mention that you used a toothbrush as well as toothpaste. You can brush their shell with a toothbrush, but I wouldn't use toothpaste because toothpaste has all kinds of chemicals and you don't really need to put it on your turtle shell. You can just use only the toothbrush. So those are my thoughts on this tank. As your turtles get bigger, you will likely have to upgrade this, so just keep that in mind. Thanks so much for sharing, Calvin. Here's a 40-gallon map turtle tank from Julie in Pennsylvania. Mississippi map actually came from apparently Julie's cousin who didn't know how to care for it properly, so I'm really glad that you were able to give this turtle a better quality of life. That's super duper awesome. Love the tank, you've done a great job with it. Love the river rock, great pop of color with the plants. And that above tank basking area was also done really, really well. You've got your lights and your filter. It looks like you even have some pothos coming out of the filter, so that's really awesome. Really, the only thing I would suggest is, again, more decorations. All right, this is a 10-gallon hatchling red-eared slider tank from Ava in Texas. So this is a very simple hatchling setup. I do like that you have the water filled so that the turtle has plenty of space to swim around. You do have your basking area as well as your basking lights and your filter. The couple things that I would mention here is, for one, decorations. Give the baby turtle something to hold on to, especially when they're younger. They're not as strong swimmers, so having stuff to climb to the surface is really helpful. Also, if you don't have a heater in this tank, I would definitely recommend one because hatchlings generally like it warmer and it can help their immune system even, so there is that. Alright, so here is a super fun tank from Suit in New Jersey, and oh my gosh, first off, I'm a sucker for baby turtles, even more so, baby diamondback terrapins. So this is your hatchling diamondback terrapin tank for your 2 diamondback terrapins, Shelby and Raisin. I love the names. Raisin is just, oh, such a good name. So this is a 55-gallon tank. You've got some live plants and driftwood in here, as well as your above tank basking area. This tank looks really, really great. That basking area looks like it has plenty of space for them to, thermoregulate, and they're just so, oh, these turtles are so, so cute. Looks like you've done a DIY stand, which is super duper awesome that you built your own. You've got your canister filter there on the bottom. And this is just a wonderful, wonderful setup. They'll be able to grow into this as they get larger. And the plants and wood just really, really, really look nice in here. Only thing I'm going to say is kind of just filling in that middle space with decorations, especially, again, since they're small. But this is a beautifully done tank. Love that you even have some fish in the tank. So thank you so much for sharing. All right, so here is the last tank of this video. This is a 65-gallon from Lexi with Darwin, the red-eared slider. So I see you've got your filter in there as well as your basking lights. A couple things I want to mention. Love the variation of the rocks in here. It's cool that you have that different texture. Again, could have more decorations, but you do have some of that space filled in. The basking area looks like it might be a little small. I would be worried about the turtle sinking it, so that's something to think about. And then along with that, you could probably fill the water level more, so you're maximizing the water volume and amount of space that your turtle can swim around. You did mention you have goldfish in the tank, so same thing as I mentioned with one of the earlier tanks. Goldfish can have thioinase. Just know that that could potentially be detrimental to the health of the turtle. So those are my thoughts, Lexi. Thanks for sending in your tank. So that is all the tanks that I have to react today. To all of you who submitted, thank you so much. I hope I wasn't too harsh on any of you. Again, take it all with a grain of salt. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. These videos tend to be a little bit longer, so if you watched this far, please comment the octopus emoji. I just picked that arbitrarily. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. And if you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you... It is time for the messiest part of turtle tank maintenance, cleaning the filter. What is up, guys? It is the Turtle Girl. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. That's right, as always, it is overdue for another canister filter cleaning. So today I'm going to take you step by step through how to clean your turtle tank or even fish tank filter. We have some necessary tools, which includes my trusty 5-gallon bucket and a water siphon. Let's get to cleaning. First, we're going to unplug anything that could be affected by the tank water level being lowered. So at least the heater and the filter. Second, we're going to fill up this bucket with a good amount of tank water. The reason for this is because we don't want to rinse the filter media in anything that could kill the beneficial bacteria. For example, tap water. That's why we want to have some tank water to use to actually clean the media out. Now I'm going to take this bucket of tank water and bring it to the bathroom. Now if I move this plant, you'll see back here is my canister filter. On this tank, I'm using the Cascade 1000 canister filter. It's got multiple stages of filtration. I have to actually shut these valves. You can see these are very handily marked in and out. Blue is in, out is black. So close these valves. That way water cannot come in and out of the intake tubes, and then these actually unscrew. It's also good to always have a towel on hand because when you're working with fish tanks, there's always going to be some kind of water spill. I can basically guarantee it. Just to be safe, I also have this bucket to catch water. The absolute biggest thing to make sure of is that these pipes are closed, these ones back here, or else you could end up with your entire tank draining onto the floor because that's how gravity works. It'll pull the water out of the tank and just dump it on the floor. So make sure that these valves are closed. Now, because there is still a little bit of water in here, you can kind of see that there is a little bit of water dripping out of this outtake pipe. I'm actually going to pour some of it into here. Now, with the top drained a little bit, I can easily move this filter over to the bathroom where the real cleaning is going to take place. It's about to get messy. Thankfully, this has a handle, which makes it easy to move. So I've got my bucket of water here, along with my filter here, and all I'm going to do is basically just rinse everything inside of the tank water. But first, I've got to open this up. Now, when I take this lid off, it might make kind of a mess, so let me grab a towel. There we go. Got a towel. It's got a turtle on it. Kind of cute. Very on brand. You got nothing, I guess. So clearly there was a fair amount of liquid inside of the actual motor of the filter. So that's why you do it next to a place where you can drain it. Also, I clean my toilet regularly, so please don't be grossed out by the fact that there's a toilet. I just disinfected it, okay? Now with that off, it's just a matter of rinsing everything. I've got a good idea. Give me just a second. In order to catch all of the drippage, I just have a plastic lid here. You could use another bucket, which would probably be easier, but I don't have another bucket right now. Anything that's just gonna make sure the water isn't gonna drip all over your floor and it's easy to clean up. Set that down someplace so that you can put down the media that has been kind of rinsed out. This first level is, as you can see, ceramic rings. As you can see, this is pretty messy business, but you gotta do what you gotta do. As you can see, I'm kind of washing it first in this filter media before going to a second level of rinsing inside of the tank water. This is because this water is already gonna get super dirty. So as much of it as I can get through in kind of like the first pass, the easier it's gonna be. I might have to do this process a couple of times. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that cloud of gunk just come out of there? Look at this. You see how much cleaner this is? That is why it is so important to clean your filter media. Now, if possible, you want to keep these damp so that the beneficial bacteria in them still lives. But if I do this quickly, and it's not going to take longer than, 10-15 minutes, it shouldn't dry out in this period. Now, this is one of my layers of filter media. This is literally just like filter floss, and you can see it looks a lot cleaner than it was. Also rinse out the filter basket, might as well. These are coarse filter sponges. As their name insinuates, they are a lot coarser. So you can see this is what they started like. And I'm going to rinse them out in here first. And then move them over here. So here's a pad before rinsing. Rinse out the basket. Make sure we do a thorough job. You also might notice that I'm doing this with my bare hands. As long as you don't have any open wounds and you wash your hands very well afterwards, it is not a problem. So Just reload this back in here. And then now the rest of this should just be able to be poured down the toilet. Because it is disgusting. Alright. So you can watch the nasty water go down the drain. And that is all literally what we call detritus. It's a bunch of basically broken down waste particles. Kind of looks a little muddy. Completely fine for your sewer system. Not any different than any of the normal stuff that you would flush down your toilet. Now just for the sake of being thorough, you can see that the bottom of this is still just a tiny bit dirty down there. So I am going to be thorough, pour a little bit of this water into here, swish it around so we can get as clean as possible. And now we are good to load back the media into this canister filter. So the first level is coarse filter media. And drop it in. Next is the fine filter media. And then finally the biomedia, which are these ceramic rings. And then you just want to make sure that that little tube is lined up. And then this lid just gets put back on like so. And now this is ready to go back to the tank, but not before flushing all of the dirty water. Now to reattach all the things and get the filter back up and running. Alright, so now to prime the filter. This is a super important step you cannot skip, whether you're using a power filter or a canister filter. You need to fill the filter with water before you actually plug it in and start it. Otherwise, the motor is not going to be able to actually suck the water in. So in order to do that, I am going to open the in tube and the out tube. So now if I hit this button to prime, that means water is going to enter the filter and it's letting the air out. So that's why you hear bubbles. You hear the bubbling? And now finally, before actually starting the filter, I just want to replace the water that was lost inside. So I'm going to get another 5 gallons of tap water now, since the filter is now filled. Top this off, and then we'll be ready to go. Alright, now for the moment of truth, time to plug the filter back in, along with everything else that we unplugged, including the heater. So now that the filter is going again, I'm going to let it run for a couple hours. It is totally normal after cleaning your filter for the tank water to actually get cloudy when you start it up again. But after a little bit, you should notice a definite improvement. So there you go, the tank is now clean. People also always ask me, why is the water yellow looking? Isn't that dirty? It's actually because of the driftwood in the tank. It's natural driftwood and it's still leaching tannins. Also, people always ask, I do have a basking area in the tank. You can see the lights right there and the basking area kind of just floats around. The suction cups don't really stick, but the turtles do still go up there. I'll catch them on occasion, even though they're musk turtles and don't really bask all that often. But yeah, that is cleaning out the filter. Hopefully this encourages you guys to stop. This is a video that nobody really likes to make, that no pet keeper wants to make, but it's the beginning of the new year, it's 2024. I've been gone for almost over half a year, and it didn't feel right to just jump back into making videos without just giving you guys the update on what has been going on in my life, what's been going on in my animals' lives. It's not gonna be a fun video, but I think it's important for you guys to know. So here's what's happened in the last few months. So, as you've already, I'm sure, read the title of this video, I'm not entirely sure what to title it yet, but something to the effect of pet loss and just some updates, something like that. So I might as well just kind of get straight into the sad stuff. You can see behind me in this tree here, there have been 2 pet losses. Well, technically 3, but 2 passing aways. So first of all, I'll break the hardest news first, I suppose, but Mochi, the axolotl, has passed away. And this was probably, I want to say it was in August, kind of a shock. And it was really hard since Mochi is, obviously you're pick favorites, right? But if there were to be a favorite, Mochi was definitely in the top 3. He was a fun little guy. My leucistic axolotl. He brought a lot of joy to all of you, a lot of education to a lot of you. He was only about 5-6 years old, so it was an untimely passing. As far as cause of death, since I think it's fair to share with you guys, my apartment is not super temperature controlled, and so over the summer, despite all my best efforts, it would just get really, really warm. And so I think ultimately that is kind of what got him. Was there more I could have done? Absolutely. I think one of my big regrets was not just sucking it up and getting a chiller, but even then, my house would just get so warm in the summer, and he seemed to be doing all right. He was eating, his gills were healthy. The most recent video I put out, featured Mochi, but I think over a prolonged period of time, it really put a lot of stress on him and shortened his lifespan. Yeah, there's really not much other to say than that. I'm okay now, but definitely when he passed, it was a bit of a shock. And I remember I went to the tank first thing in the morning, right before work, to check on him, and there he was, kind of just floating. And so he's got a spot here under the tree. And then the other pet loss was Fury, one of my female musk turtles. I must have overfilled the tank just a little bit, and it wasn't totally escape-proof, so one day I came home and I found her at the bottom of the stairs, and at first I had thought she had escaped and that she was still alive, but when I picked her up I realized that she didn't make it. And so I have just given her a spot. Just now is what you saw, giving Fury a spot underneath the tree. I still have the other 2 male musk turtles. They're doing great. I think it was just one of those fluke accidents. And speaking of accidents, there is one more pet loss to report. It's not an confirmed passing, but my milk snake, Sienna, escaped her tank probably 3 months ago. It was over the summer. I even filmed a little video clip when I first realized that she'd left, but I think it's too personal to share. I was pretty cut up about it, because obviously I'd raised her from when she was little, but I think what happened was she had gotten strong enough. Obviously she had a lid and everything was zip tied, but I think that she just got strong enough to push the lid off. Colubrids, milk snakes in particular, are known to be escape artists, and so I think she just was strong enough to actually push the lid open. It wasn't something I really anticipated, but obviously she's grown quite a bit since when I first got her. And so she escaped. I tore apart the house looking for her that whole past week, and even now I'm just hoping maybe she'll turn up one day, but I tore apart the house and I couldn't find her. So I can only hope that she escaped and found a nice place to hang out, at least for the summer, because it does get pretty cold here in Colorado. So I think at this point she must have gone somewhere and is somewhere else, most likely has passed on. But there's also a decent amount of field mice around where I live. Oh, that's kind of bright. Let me shade the sun there. But Mochi, Fury, and Sienna are no longer here with me. And it just really sucks. And honestly, I think part of the reason it took me so long to come back and make a video is because I didn't really want to talk about it. It's difficult when, I feel like you guys kind of look up to me in some of the pet keeping, and I can give advice and share tips and even relate educational information, but in the end, pet loss is something we all have to deal with, and even accidents, untimely deaths, and it's kind of humbling to admit, I'm not a perfect pet keeper, no one is, and definitely there are things that I could have done better, but yeah, I guess that's kind of all there is to say. And I just wanted to kind of update you guys where everything is at right now, personally. Like, work is really busy, and just traveling, seeing family. It's an adjustment, you know. I moved out here a little over a year ago to work here full time in Denver, and it's just definitely an adjustment trying to, you know, figure out a new routine and make new friends and build community and all of that. It's just like a big adjustment. And so to have like a bunch of pet losses, honestly, it kind of felt like one after another. It was just kind of hard. So it took me a while to get myself to make this video, but here I am giving you guys the update, and just to let you know moving forward where the channel is going to be at. In 2024, I want to make a return, and I am going to make a return. I did actually get some new animals recently, and so I'm excited to share that with you. There's new projects, new stuff to talk about, and I just want to continue sharing this hobby, my pet keeping hobby, with you guys. That has always been the goal of this channel, to just do what I can to be able to share the information that I have and the experiences that I have, in the hopes that it inspires you guys to be better pet keepers and to just enjoy this natural world that we live in. So yeah, that's about it for the update. Stick around if you want to see more content. I'm sorry that this is a bit of a sad video to go into the new year with, but I'm looking forward towards what the future holds, and I want you guys to know that I haven't forgotten about you, and I love the fact that I get to share all of this with you guys, and the fact that you guys are kind of like a part of my, in a weird way, like kind of a part of my life, and I want to keep sharing this hobby with you. So I hope you guys understand. I know you guys will understand, or anyone who actually, you know, has followed me along this journey will understand. I know some people will be like, you could have done better, and I would say, yeah, I absolutely could have done better, but part of life is learning from your mistakes, and also the ability to move on. So I'm moving on, and I want to make more videos. I will be making more videos, and I'll see you guys more in 2024. That's it for the update. Take care of yourselves, take care of your animals, and have a totally awesome day. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Some people like to have pets that a whole lighting setup of their own, a lot of food, and a vast enclosure. So if you're a beginner and want and in the unfortunate case that they bite you, it can get pretty bad, because giant centipedes are venomous after all. In fact, one bite can use swelling, pain, and even fever. So these pets are definitely for daredevils. Huge stick insect. If you thought a chameleon was the one pet you could lose easily, you'd be wrong. That's because it's definitely this giant stick bug. These insects look so much like an actual stick that you might forget it's a real living thing. Sometimes you can't really tell us how. In a small pool of water, this Indonesian family managed to keep their crocodile, Kojak, alive and happy for about 20 years. The family sometimes plays ball games beside his channel, where he spends most of his time. In the whole time the crocodile has been with them, he hasn't tried to attack or injure the humans at all. What a loyal reptile. Giant hermit crab. Giant leaf bug. A moving leaf in the air isn't surprising, but when that leaf starts to move on a particularly dry day, just know that it's probably someone's pet leaf bug. Their appearance is so similar to that of a leaf that even us humans can confuse it with a real leaf. If you take good care of them, they can live up to 3 years. This doesn't mean you can just put them in a jar with some soil and branches and call it a day. All pets need proper homes. Giant moth.
We all know how mesmerizing butterflies are, but when there's a moth as big as this flying about, the butterflies seem like nothing in comparison. The Atlas moth here is among the biggest insects on the planet, but they make very poor pets. Not because they're aggressive or anything, but they only live for 7 days after breaking out of their cocoon. They use almost all their energy as a caterpillar, and once they grow wings, they don't even eat once. Talk about a strict diet. Giant tortoise. The tortoise might have lost the race, but it's definitely won the game of life. This is a giant Galapagos tortoise and can live up to 117 years. You might want to get an animal as friendly as this one, but the truth is, these poor creatures are highly endangered. Moreover, they're very expensive to take care of, and if you have enough funds to take care of an animal for 2 centuries, then go ahead. Giant pet hippo. Worms and waxworms to be happy. And one more rule, never ever hold them. Even if you must, use a long pair of foam-tipped forceps. Giant skunk pets. If you think about it, skunks are pretty cute when you ignore their awfully pungent smell. That's actually what Jim and Kim Pockran did here. They got their skunk spraying glands removed so they could keep them as pets. To them, they're basically cats, and they even eat a special kind of cat food. Looks like they eat way too much of it, judging by their huge size. Gigantic pig. If you've seen Spirited Away, then you know how big pigs can get. But just look at the size of this one. Lulu here was a gift to his dad, who was thought to be a micro pig at first. But then, the pig kept growing and reached up to 600 pounds. Most teacup pigs only grow up to 65 pounds, but even those can cost you thousands of dollars. Giant hedgehog. There's nothing cuter than a tiny little spiky hedgehog all rolled up into one ball. But the European hedgehogs can grow up to the size of a football. Has managed to do it. Super buff kangaroo. A pet polar bear only seems possible in cartoons, but this man is living his dream with his giant fluffy pet. Both of them love to take swims together in his huge swimming pool. The polar bear is also unusually friendly with his owner, accepting belly rubs and physically affectionate. Even though buying a polar bear costs about $15,000, this guy has managed to do it. Super buff kangaroo. Him standing near regular old cows was posted online. It weighs almost 1.5 tons. You might think his meat wouldn't be quite expensive, but thanks to his fame, Knickers managed to get away from the slaughterhouse. Pet penguin. Realize.
4, 3, 2, 1, gotta run with a big bite. It's a big life. Zoom, zoom, live fast, big move.
Realize how big it actually is. This 3-foot-high cockerel has shaken the internet with just one video, and still, no one had any idea what this breed was. The 17-pound monster is a Brahma chicken that was imported from China. Now this would make a good zinger sandwich. Giant Andean condor bird. With a wingspan of 10 feet, anyone would be intimidated by this bird. However, James has been friends with the giant Andean condor bird, Rosie, for 3 years. This species is the largest of its kind among the birds of prey in the whole world. And he's generous enough to show everyone his winged friend too. Great Dane. Needs to keep some of them in her bedroom, her brother's bedroom, and the laundry room too. The worst part is, they're huge and super gross. Alright, comment below if you've ever seen an unusually humongous animal. Giant cockroaches. Kids have all sorts of weird interests, but this 9-year-old Shelby takes the cake here. She has a special interest in cockroaches, and she has so many that she needs to keep some of them in her bedroom, her brother's bedroom, and the laundry room too. The worst part is they're huge and super gross. Alright, comment below. Reason. These start out as small, adorable pups, but they can grow up to a whopping 3 feet tall in a few years. You could even potentially ride them at this size. However, it's not recommended. They're dogs, not stallions.
And the surprising. I forgot he was swimming with a rather unexpected
attention as much as she wants because
it seems that Jessica imprinted an untested project to do something that most people would consider impossible. They want to release these hand-reared lions into the wild when they're older.
I was under the impression that if any individuals are for release, that you must have absolutely no contact with them.
That's what we're hoping to prove wrong, because you have right now in South Africa more lions in captivity than in the wild.
Yeah.
So if we can take the animals from this situation and prove that you can turn them wild again, then we can be saving quite a few of them. We believe it's possible, and we believe our intimate knowledge of these ones will help us achieve that goal. And hopefully they'll be our first ambassadors.
They're amazing animals, they really are.
Perfect.
By behaving in a dominant manner, Orr has found a way to sit amongst lions. But as we're only just beginning to understand these unpredictable animals, I'd rather not repeat this experience anytime soon. Him, Wild Thing.
Cole was everything the girls wanted this year. And Mom and Dad used Chewy.
A hot and steamy au jus is the king of dips. It enhances the flavor of everything. Roast beef.
important because they're dominating this individual.
Okay.
They're trying to get him away.
And his posture is submissive there.
Yeah, he's submissive.
Yeah.
He's good.
So
He's fine.
I didn't notice anything different. It's immediately you're chatting away and you stop. And you
Yeah.
went, okay, something has changed. Did you learn from your mistakes? Did you get
I've learned the hard way.
Did you?
Yes. I've learned with hyenas, it's always the hard way. They react, they bite you, and then they ask questions later. Let's put it into perspective for you. I've been working with large carnivores for 15 years. I've been hospitalized 5 times by hyena and none by lion. I got bitten very badly about 6 weeks ago. The one hyena thought it was a good opportunity to try and jostle for status in this clan. So he went for me in a very aggressive way, bit me on my arm and on my leg, and that triggered the rest of the clan to want to participate in the whole thing. There's probably a reason why a lot of people around the world don't work with these guys.
I wanted to ask you about, where they see you in their clan. Are you a hyena in their eyes?
Their behavior with me is treating me as an individual in their clan is exactly how they treat one another. And that's why I get my fair share of bites, because they don't hold back.
So why on earth would you want to do this when you're aware that it can be dangerous?
What I feel is the risk has actually been mitigated over the years by knowing the individuals. And by no means do I just say, hey, I'm the hyena whisperer, I can go in with any hyena group and do what I do with these guys. This is a relationship that's been developing with some individuals over 14 years. Where are you going? No, you're not going there.
Don't even yet.
Yeah,
Stay for the camera. See, now that's just ridiculous.
Look at that teddy bear.
I mean, come on, it's like if you're behaving with him like if he's a dog,
Well, once all the energy dissipates, and once they're okay with you guys, and they know they've smelt you out, and they see that you're not a threat, and they calm down, these animals are it's incredible what you can do with them. I mean, this guy...
he desperately wants his chin scratched. I can see that already. Kevin has worked very hard to earn the hyena's trust, and it allows him to play with them in a way I never thought was possible. But even this time spent playing together gives him a chance to learn about their social structure and how he can maintain his position within it.
Okay, so, I mean, all this kind of thing that I'm doing here is asserting my dominance. So it does look like play, but he's also feeling that I'm not, submitting to something he does, and that I'm actually playing with him in a dominant way. So I'm doing things to him that he wouldn't normally allow other individuals to do to him, that he was more dominant, who he was more dominant of. So it is interesting. I'm using affection, because he's coming to me for love and a tickle and a chin scratch and all of the above. But I'm dominating him, and I'm not hitting him. I don't have to. It's a bit of a psychological game.
What do you get out of it then, do you think? Why were you driven to do this with these hyenas?
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, this is enriching for me, as it is for them. I mean, the fact that I'm tickling this hyena on his chin and I'm using him as a resting post.
Bonkers, Kevin.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still get a kick out of seeing my buddies. However, the other thing that I really hope it does is it shows people a different side of them. And hopefully people watching a program like this would go away and say, you know what? I never knew hyenas were like